What's up, everybody? It's your boy TTG, and I'm back here with another video. Sorry for the hiatus. I've been doing a little bit of schoolwork, obviously. College football has ended, so there's a little down period. I do watch college basketball, but mostly only the Florida Gators, so maybe we'll do a video or two on college basketball. I know we'll probably do a video or either a live stream where I pick the tournament bracket. Regardless, today we are switching the gear, and we're going to talk a little bit of college baseball. Now, D1 baseball came out about a month ago and gave their updated 2025 preseason rankings, and we're just going to go through and talk a little bit about them. I will get a little bit deeper into the teams that are in the top 10. But regardless, if you like these kind of videos, make sure to subscribe, please. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I think we're at 600 and some change, so we're well on our way. Maybe during this college baseball season, we can continue that climb. And yeah, we'll do more videos as the season goes on. We'll probably do a little review after every weekend of college baseball. Maybe I'll do my own rankings here shortly. We'll see. Hint, hint. Maybe that's a video coming up. Anyway, long story short, let's jump into the video. And I'm gonna put the little graphic from D1 baseball right here, and it'll stay here the whole video just to give you a look at where I'm getting my information from, right? So at 25, we have Troy, the Fun Belt. They were pretty good last year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they made a run in the Sun Belt tournament regardless. Solid team. I'm not sure who they return or anything. I didn't get too deep into the teams below 10, but regardless. 24, Nebraska. Now, I know as a Florida fan, we faced Nebraska in the regionals last year in Stillwater. Solid team. I don't know who all they return, but if they return a core of that nucleus, they're going to be tough in the Big Ten. 23, TCU. TCU had a disappointing year last year. Hopefully they bounce back this year. They're one of college baseball's premier programs, I would say. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that's a talent-rich area for baseball, so hopefully they can build on the local talent, hit the transfer portal, and get better as the season goes. 22, UC Santa Barbara. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they had a pretty good season last year. Aren't they the Gauchos or something like that? Not sure. Regardless, pretty good year. I expect them to be decent again this year. Arizona. Everybody remembers that run Arizona kind of went on in the latter part of the year. If I'm not mistaken, they hosted their own regional maybe, and I think they got beat in it. But they had a pretty good core nucleus of talent. I don't know what they return. Not going to pretend to know what they return. But I like Arizona. I do. Actually, I have one of my followers on TikTok. His brother played for Arizona. So I paid pretty close attention to the Wildcats as they had their run in the postseason. 20, Dallas Baptist. And they're just a mainstay in college baseball at this point. They're going to be top 25 almost every year. Last year, they were very talented. I can't remember where their season ended. I'm pretty sure they made the postseason. Almost positive. Can't remember where their season ended, but regardless. 19, Texas. We know the big fiasco that happened at the end of last year after the College World Series final with Jim Schlossnagle leaving A&M to go to Texas. I wouldn't say it's the move that set fans off, A&M fans off. I think they have a right to be upset. It's how he did it. He pretty much came out and said after Game 3 in the interview, post-game interview, that he wasn't going anywhere, that it was absurd that the reporter was asking him that question after the national championship. Maybe he's right. Maybe it wasn't the right time to ask that question. But he acted like it was just so out of left field that it can never happen. Then the next day he announces he's going to Texas. Come on, bro. Regardless, Texas got a good coach. I'm not sure what their portal class looked like. I know they're usually a really good program in college baseball. So it'll be nice to see if Jim Schlossnagle can, get them back to the top. And I do know through research that Texas and A&M play this year in a series. I can't remember if it's like a midweek series or if it's a weekend series. Regardless, we're going to have to be tuned into that. 18, Mississippi State. Mississippi State was one of my favorite teams to watch last year. After, I think it was early in the year, they played Florida. And, dude, they just put pressure on Florida. Florida wasn't great last year during the regular season. I'm not even going to act like we were. But they put continuous pressure on you. They play small ball. They get hits when they need to. And they had a roster full of arms that could get it done. I really like Mississippi State. I like their home stadium, one of the best in college baseball and one of the best atmospheres. So 18, maybe, I'm hoping they'll be better than 18. But 18 solid to start the year, no doubt. 17, Oklahoma State. Again, Florida played them in the Stillwater Regional. Great squad. No doubt about it. They're tough, well coached. I don't know who all they're returning and who all they lost last year. They had the two-way superstar last year as well. That was really good. What was the pitcher's name? Good God. Holiday. The Holiday kid shoved on us the first time we faced him. I'm pretty sure it was the first time, but he shoved on us. Complete game, I'm pretty sure. I don't know who all they're returning. Great program, great facilities, great place for college baseball. 17, Oklahoma State. 16, Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt, they played pretty bad in the postseason last year. If I remember, they got embarrassed in a regional. I think they played in the Clemson regional. If I'm not mistaken, I didn't do a whole lot of research on the 11 through 25 rankings. But they had a pretty disappointing postseason. It'll be interesting to see if Coach Corbin can get them back on track up there. Now, great facilities, great stadium, great fan base. You're in Nashville, Tennessee. I expect them to be good this year. 16, solid. 15, Clemson. Now, Clemson had a very good environment for the Super Regionals. Florida played them in the Super Regional. Two of the better games I've watched in college baseball, especially game 2. Cam Canarella. Can you not? Okay, buddy. You hit a home run, then you rob us. It wasn't going to be a home run, but an incredible over-the-shoulder catch up the hill, up the embankment in center field in Clemson to extend that game. I almost had a heart attack, dude. Can you not? All right. Clemson's going to be good again this year. I was expecting them to be right back in the postseason and playing for a right to go to Omaha at the end of the year. Wake Forest, same thing. Kind of a disappointing ending to last year. They kind of started off slow last year, too, if I remember correctly. I can't really remember. Guys, I'm old. My brain doesn't work right. But Wake Forest, they're going to have great pitching. They lost to ECU, right? Or no, they lost to Evansville. Evansville, they went to the ECU regional, right? Wake Forest and ECU and Evansville were in that regional. And Evansville won it. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Evansville also took Tennessee to game 3 in the Super in Knoxville. Regardless, Wake Forest is going to be back. They're going to be fine. I know they lose some bats and some arms, but they're always replacing it. It's a steady influx of talent there in Wake Forest. Look forward to that awesome stadium and that awesome crowd being crunk up again this year. NC State wins the Athens Super Regional last year, advances to Omaha. Doesn't quite have the ending they want, but they were a well-coached bunch, and a lot of guys stepped up when they needed to. I watched a lot of that Athens Super Regional. Well-coached. If they return a lot of those kids, I expect them, they're ranked 13 for a reason. So I expect them to be fighting for another trip to Omaha. Yeah, I like their coach. I really do. 12, Oregon. I don't really remember a lot about Oregon last year. Don't remember how good they were. I'm just going to be honest. So I'm going to say if I don't remember, then they probably, weren't the best. Maybe it's because they're in the same conference as Oregon State, the same state even. Oregon at 12, I like it. I like their uniforms, obviously. I don't know anything about their roster. I'm going to find out as the season goes on. I'm going to do more research, and obviously through watching the games, I'll be able to tell you guys more. And number 11, before we jump into the better breakdowns with 10 through 1, number 11, Duke. We know Duke was great last year, had a great regular season. I can't remember where their season ended, if it was in the Supers or in the regionals. But another great year for Duke. I expect them to be right there vying for another host site again. So, with that being said, we're going to move into the top 10. As you can see here, I'm a huge Florida fan, so I know a lot about Florida baseball. I keep up with it pretty regularly. But yeah, let's jump in. Last year, we know Florida was 36-30. Wasn't a great regular season. Barely squeaked in to the postseason. A lot of people would argue that Florida didn't deserve to be in the postseason. I was not one of those people. We had the strongest strength of schedule in the country. We won our 13 games in SEC, which is pretty much where the cutoff line usually is for making the tournament or not. So that's why we made the tournament. Regardless, key returners for this year's Florida squad. Just to show you where our season ended last year, it ended against A&M in Omaha. A&M would go on after beating Florida to play Tennessee in the final. So we were one of the final 4 teams left, despite a lot of people saying we didn't deserve to be there. I think our run in the postseason showed that we deserved to be there. I know our record wasn't great, but considering the teams we got in above, I think we were more deserving. We played a tougher schedule. We had better wins. Regardless, what does Kevin O'Sullivan bring back in Florida? Key returners, Colby Shelton, shortstop. Guy can hit for power. He needs to work a little bit on the strikeout rate, in my opinion. And he was pretty good defensively last year, which surprised me. I thought he was a little big and a little slow-footed, I guess, to play shortstop, but he proved me wrong. Cade Curlin, I've watched this guy play since he was a freshman. Solid at second base, solid defense. Can hit for power, can hit for average. I know last year he was banged up a lot with the hand injury that happened like early on, maybe the first series of the year. Hopefully he bounces back. Ty Evans, love Ty Evans. We all remember the run he went on in Omaha. What was it, 2023 maybe? Hit a bunch of home runs when we lost in the finals to LSU. Yeah, I like Ty Evans. I think the injury, it sucked he had an injury at the end of last year that caused him to miss the postseason, but I think that's one of the reasons he came back. Jake Clemente at pitcher. He was solid last year. I expect him to be good again this year. We did have a bunch of young arms last year that we depended on, and I think that's why our record during the regular season was not as good, especially those midweek games. If you remember last week, we lost a lot of midweek games, and we lost badly in some of them, the Florida State games, because we had a lot of young pitchers, but they took their lumps towards the end of the season. A lot of them stepped up. Luke McNeely is another one that's going to be good, and then Liam Peterson. At the end of the year, the freshman looked like our ace, and he pitched very well. So I expect him to be the best, or be our ace probably. If not, definitely our Saturday guy. New additions to Florida. Kyle Jones outfield, Stetson transfer. This guy is going to replace some people we're losing in the outfield, like Shellnut and Michael Robertson, who had the huge hit against Clemson. He transferred out. Kyle Jones in. Kyle Jones can play center field. I think that's a great pickup for Florida. And then Blake Sear, the Miami transfer, wasn't the best last year in a sophomore campaign, but he was a freshman All-American at Miami, if I remember correctly. He's probably going to play third base some this year, maybe a little. I don't know where he's going to play, to be honest. But we're going to find somewhere for that bat in the lineup. If I had to guess, probably third base. I don't know, but we'll see. Dude's a dog. They might even move him to outfield. I think is he? He might even be an outfielder. I'm not real sure. I know his freshman year, I think he played third base at Miami. Regardless, key losses for Florida. Who they're looking to replace? Jack Caglione. You're not going to replace him. Not with one guy anyway. You're going to need a group of guys to come in and pick up some of that slack. You know, he could hit the long ball. He hit for average. I think he hit almost 400 last year. He's doing good in the minor leagues right now. And then Brandon Neely, he was that guy you can lean on, come in and shut the game down when you need it. He did it several times in the postseason. Had a great regional in Stillwater, and then not the best performance at Clemson in game 2, but he got us outs when we needed him. He did give up I'm pretty sure he was pitching when Cam Canarella hit the home run to tie. Regardless, Brandon Neely is a guy and a leader in that bullpen, and he was one of my favorite players to ever come through Florida. The attitude, the moxie, I don't know, just how he played. I loved it. Number 9, FSU. You don't have to travel far from 10 to 9. Our arch rivals in Tallahassee finished the year 49-17 last year. Terrific year. They handed us belt to ass a couple of times. Once in Gainesville, once in Tallahassee, and once in Jacksonville. I'm pretty sure they swept us. Actually, I'm sure they swept us. Belt to ass. I mean, Link Jarrett's done a phenomenal job there. Let's not get it twisted. Key returners for Florida State. Oh, by the way, their season ended at the exact same time as Florida's. They lost to Tennessee twice. I remember that first loss was very controversial. There was a check swing involved, I think, with Blake Burke. Could have been the game in the strikeout, I think. He ends up hitting a double in the gap or something and ties it up. Regardless, great season from Florida State. They were a couple pitches here or there from being in the championship game and knocking off Tennessee, but they do lose to a great Tennessee team. Key returners, Jamie Arnold, obviously one of the better pitchers in America. Ask me how I know, because I watched a lot of Florida State baseball. And outfielder Max Williams. I think he's a guy that's gonna take that next step. He was kind of key for them in their run late in the year. A lot of people I think there was an injury or something that happened, and he was able to get some reps, and he took advantage of it. New additions. Who have the Seminoles added? Gage Harrelson, outfielder. He was from Texas Tech. Great defense, solid batting approach. He's not going to wow you with the power numbers or anything like that, but the defense plays. They're going to find somewhere for him in that outfield. He was even better as a freshman. He struggled a little bit last year as a sophomore, but I expect him to take another step. Lincoln Jarrett's going to get the best out of his kids. Key losses, obviously, I think James Tibbs was ACC Player of the Year. Dude was a dog. And then Cam Smith, third baseman, Florida State. Two guys that are going to be hard to replace, but I know Lincoln Jarrett's got them in a good place. Number 8, and this one surprised me a little bit until I done some research, okay? Always do your research before you make it like an asinine generalization. 8, Georgia. Finished year 43-17 last year. Wes Johnson, great first year. You would have liked to have seen him punch that ticket to Omaha. They fall a little bit short to NC State in the Athens Regional, or Athens Super Regional, not Regional, sorry. And then what does Wes Johnson do? He goes and adds one of the best transfer classes in the country. Where did Georgia struggle last year? It was with the pitching staff. It was no secret. You had Condon, you had Kobe Branch, you had Slate Alford, you had a slew of bats you could score with anybody. You lacked a couple arms that could get outs when you needed it. Key returners, obviously, Kobe Branch, Slade Alford, and Trey Phelps. Great. I mean, this lineup is going to be dangerous again. And they add some guys, like I said, out the portal that are going to contribute immediately. And then Leighton Finley, he was one of the few guys out of the bullpen or in the pitching staff, not even out the bullpen necessarily, that could get you outs when you needed it. Now, new additions. Like I said, they have one of the top transfer portal classes in the country, but again, they need arms. The best one I think they got after doing my research was Brian Verley, VCU transfer. He was drafted in the 16th round last year. Went the draft, comes to Georgia. He's going to raise that draft stock. He's going to be playing in a better conference against better competition. He went 6-0 last year with 3 saves, and UGA needed arms. This kid is one that can get you outs. Key losses, obviously. Charlie Condon, SEC Player of the Year and Golden Spikes winner. I know those were both, not without their controversy, especially the SEC Player of the Year. A lot of people thought it should have been Christian Moore. Now, the Golden Spikes, I think, should have been Charlie Condon, but if you're looking at SEC Player of the Year, you should probably focus on SEC play. And Christian Moore was just better in SEC play. But overall, throughout the whole year, counting non-conference play, etc., Charlie Condon, hands down, Golden Spikes award winner. Moving on, 7, Oregon State, 45-16 last year. Season ended in Lexington in the Super Regionals. They kind of got blanked against Kentucky. A lot of teams did, though, throughout the year. They had a great pitching staff there in Lexington. Am I missing something? Was Kentucky not ranked? Can't remember. But they might, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Key returners, Trent Caraway. Now, he didn't play a whole lot, but from the research I've done, he was a freshman last year. When he played, he was phenomenal. And they are raving about him in the fall. They said he had a great fall. So we're looking for him coming into the season to be one of the bigger contributors. And they're going to need contributors to replace what they lost. The newcomer that I want to highlight is Ava Arquette. I think that's how you say it. Infielder, Washington. He hit transfer from Washington, I should say. Hit 325 with 12 bombs last year. The bat has played everywhere he's been. He played in the Cape Cod League. And the bat played. He played at Washington. The bat played. It's going to play here at Oregon State as well. Now, these two guys are going to have to contribute because they lost Travis Bazzana last year. One of the better players in Oregon State history. Of course, they have a lot of good players. Adley Rutschman comes to mind. But regardless, number 1 pick of the 2024 MLB draft, Travis Bazzana. That's who you're losing. These two guys are who you're trying to insert to, pick up some slack. And it's going to take more than one guy. I mean, there are not many Travis Bazzanas out there, so. Number 6, UNC. Now, this was one of my more favorite teams to watch with Vance Honeycutt last year. They were dirty. Love the uniforms. Love the Tar Heel blue. I also like Parks Harbor. He played with my cousin at Georgia. And I watched him play as a freshman at Georgia under Coach Scott Strickland. And he was a dog. So I'm kind of partial to UNC. I like their program. I like their coach. I like their facilities, their stadium, their fans. Everything about this program is awesome. 48-16 last year. The season ended in Omaha. That's the goal. You want your season to end in Omaha. Of course, you want to hoist that trophy at the end. They didn't quite do that. They lost to FSU. Great team in FSU. But key returners, 2 pitchers. Keep an eye out for these names. Jason DeCaro, Matthew Mathis. Those 2 pitchers are going to be phenomenal. Those are probably going to be your 1-2 punch Friday, Saturday guys. And then Luke Stevenson, one of the better returning catchers in the country. Kid's the dog. Key additions. Now, I haven't actually told you who they're trying to replace yet, but Kane Kepley, outfielder from Liberty, was on fire last year. The kid is going to step right into Chapel Hill, and he's going to produce. Guarantee it. But they're trying to replace this guy, Vance Honeycutt, one of my favorite players to watch last year. Dude's a raw athlete. Maybe not the best numbers, maybe not the best baseball player, but one of the better athletes in the entire country. And once he gets to the MLB and he fines-tunes some of his attributes, he's a 5-tool player. The kid can run, catch, throw, hit for power, and hit for average. Dog. Love Vance Honeycutt. Moving on, Arkansas. Now, we talk about disappointing ends to the year. Arkansas, One of the more disappointing ends to the year there were last year. Surprising as well. They just can't seem to get it done with Dave Van Horn in the postseason. Now, they made it to the finals that one year against, I think it was Oregon State. Dropped the pot fly. Probably should have won the national championship that year. But they're just snake bitten, dude. I don't know what's going on. They got to get over the hump at some point, though. Arkansas, 44-16 last year. Great season. It ended in their own regional after they lost to Kansas State and Southeastern Missouri. SEMO was solid, though. That offense had some dogs in it. They were fun to watch in that regional. Will this season finally be the season that Dave Horn finally gets it done? The task is tall. There's some good teams in the country this year. A lot of talent. The transfer portal, teams can just load up with talent. It's crazy. Key returners for Arkansas. Wehiwa Aloy, I think that's how you say it. Don't crush me if I didn't say it right. Hit 270 with 14 homers last year. I think he's the shortstop. They struggled offensively at times. It is what it is. They struggle to produce runs. Their pitching staff, they leaned on them a lot last year. And when you run into a good offense that can hit the ball at the ballpark and put up a crooked number in an inning, you need to be able to score. That's why they lost. That's why they didn't win the national championship last year. Key addition, Zach Root, ECU. This guy was slated to be ECU's ace, if I'm not mistaken. 6-2 last year with a 3.62 ERA. Great addition. I'm fitting to tell you who you're trying to replace here. You're trying to replace Hagen Smith, one of the best lefties to ever come through college. And if people don't quit texting me, I'm going to lose my mind. Give me just a second. There we go. Sorry about that. And you're trying to replace Peyton Stovall. So these two guys that I mentioned, key returner, Wehiwa Aloy, is going to try to take over Peyton Stovall's place. Hard shoes to fill. And Zach Root is going to try to help with replace Hagen Smith. Going to take multiple guys to eat up those innings Hagen Smith ate up last year. Number 4, Tennessee, the defending national champs. Now, I can already see what Tony Vitello is telling his team. We are being disrespected. We won the national championship last year. We were the best team in college baseball. They've been one of the better programs the last 6-7 years in the entire country. They should be ranked 1, right? Well, they're ranked 4 according to D1 baseball. Tennessee finished 16-13, won the SEC tournament, and won the national championship. What a year for the Volunteers. Tony Vitello gets it done. National champs. Rocky Top was singing. And let me tell you, I'm a huge Tony Vitello fan. I like the energy he coaches with. He always has his players' backs. He can recruit, and he obviously develops talent. I mean, there's not much you can say, and that's coming from a Florida fan. I'm supposed to hate Tennessee. I can't hate them. Key returners. This one is very important to me. Now, they do lose a lot, but Dean Curley, he was a big part of that national championship run. You know, he had a pretty good showing in Omaha as well as the postseason in general. Key additions, Gavin Collin, Louisville. I think he was the number 3 prospect in the portal, according to Baseball America, if I'm not mistaken. 330 average, 9 home runs, 3 triples. He can play solid defense. He can hit for power. He can hit for average. He can run the bases. He's fast. He can steal you a couple bases as well. This kid's going to fit right in this Tennessee lineup. And with who they're trying to replace, Christian Moore, Blake Burke, Billy Amick, Drew Beam, and A.J. Causey, they're going to need all the help they can get. But I have faith in Tony Vitello. You lose a lot of guys, and you may do what LSU did at the end of last year, or at the beginning of last year. You may struggle a little bit. But when the cohesion and the young players that don't have a lot of experience start to build that experience, you saw what LSU did last year. Had ended up with a pretty good run in the postseason. And that brings us to them. LSU, number 3 in the country, 43-23 last year. They ended their season in the North Carolina Regional in extras in the final game. They win, they go to the Supers, they lose, and obviously they go home. But man, what a year. Like I said, they struggled early with a young roster, but Jay Johnson, he built that cohesion. He built the leadership with the guys he had, and they made a run. They were not good at the beginning of the year. They were just not good. It looked like they were going to miss the tournament. I think it was even halfway through the year. I was like, there's no way they make the tournament. They proved me wrong. But they had a great showing in Chapel Hill, had a great showing in the SEC tournament where I think they made it to the finals against Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. Regardless, key returners, Jared Jones, kid hits nukes, end of story. 301 last year, 28 home runs. He's gonna be their leader in the offense, in my opinion. He's a junior this year, I believe, so a veteran guy in the lineup always helps out, and he can hit tanks. And then key additions, Jay Johnson does it again, number 1 portal class. I mean, the guy just acquires talent like few others in the country do. Number 1 portal class. Okay, this is Baseball America, I think. Number 2 overall prospect, Daniel Dickinson led the way. as far as key additions. He's an infielder from Utah Valley, hit 363 with 18 home runs. He's going to plug nicely into that LSU lineup. You know, the ball kind of flies at the box. In my opinion, it does anyway. It seems like every time I watch a game there's home run after home run after home run. Makes for great baseball. One of the better environments and better just venues in college baseball. On my bucket list, if I ever start making money off this content stuff, maybe I'll get a few, sponsors. Who knows? But definitely, I want to see a lot of these stadiums. Arkansas, LSU. I've been to Florida several times. I've been to Georgia a couple times. I want to see all these great venues. Regardless, they're trying to replace Tommy White. They didn't lose a lot last year. A lot of production anyway. Tommy White will be hard to replace because he's a leader, competitor, and he had a lot of big swings in the Tigers uniform. That's for sure. He'll be no easy man to replace, but hey, we are where we are, right? Virginia. Now they had a nice little run last year as well, and they're probably returning maybe the most besides the number one team. They're returning a lot. Virginia 46-17 last year, made it to Omaha, but went 2-Q. But they're returning a bunch. They're returning the key returner for me, Henry Ford, first baseman. Now, I have read online that he may be making the transition to right field, and this is going to help his draft stock. If you can play a corner outfield, they can always stick you back at first base regardless. Anybody pretty much can play first base defensively, but that's going to help his draft stock for sure. He was a freshman All-American last year, hit 336 with 17 home runs. Pretty sure he broke the freshman record for home runs at Virginia, which Virginia has a storied baseball history in general. So anytime you're breaking records at Virginia, you're doing something right. Key additions, Chris Arroyo. Now, this guy is a JUCO guy, but he's a two-way guy, and he really lit it up at the JUCO level. Now, playing in the ACC and eventually in the postseason in college baseball at the Division I level is going to be quite a step up from JUCO. But he hit for an average of 403, 19 home runs, and had a 3.53 ERA on the bump. Now, is he the next Jack Caglione? Don't know. We'll find out. We're going to find out pretty quick. But he can hit it, and he can get you outs on the mound. Huge pickup for Virginia. Key losses were Chase Hungate and Angelo Tonas. Like I said, they don't really lose a lot, in my opinion. Those are two arms that I think they can replace, and I think they're going to replace. They're going to be tough to beat. I'm just going to be honest. Virginia would probably, I know they're based on their rankings, but also based on the research I've done, them and Florida State, in my opinion, would be at the top of, and UNC, obviously, at the top of my list for preseason ACC teams to win the conference. And then number one, this team's loaded. They got good arms. They made some acquisitions in the transfer portal. Texas A&M, 53-15 last year. Lost to Tennessee in the College World Series final. Beat my Gators twice. Hurt, but A&M was great last year. Now, we know the debacle. We've already spoke on it with Jim Schlossnagle controversially leaving for Texas. But Michael Early takes over a loaded roster. He's going to be just fine this year. He's going to be a great coach. That's who the Aggies wanted for the most part and who the players wanted. And since you hired from within and made the hire everybody wanted, you were able to keep that roster intact and keep players like Chase Lavalette, first overall pick prospect for the 2025 MLB draft. That'll be coming up in April, I think, something like that. But he's probably the leading prospect for the number one overall pick. Chase Lavalette's a dog. Just end of story. I know he was kind of injured. Wasn't he injured in Omaha last year? And obviously they had lost Braden Montgomery. But they still made a run to the finals. Chase Lavalette's a dog. Gavin Grohovac's another guy they're going to be returning. I loved Gavin Grohovac. SEC Freshman of the Year. Played third base. That's where I played in high school and college. So that's why I like Gavin Grohovac. Key additions, Gavin Cash from Texas Tech. I think this is his last year eligibility. Regardless, last year he hit 300 with 15 tanks. He's a guy that can plug in and play immediately. That bat's going to play. Now, key losses, you lose Braden Montgomery. Although they showed at the end of the year they can make a run without him. He got hurt in the regionals, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. It was either regionals or very late in the season. But anyway, he's going to be a great MLB player. And then Chris Cortez, we all saw what he did in Omaha, especially if you're a Florida fan. I think it was we had to double dip him to go to the championship, right? And we didn't even win one game, but Chris Cortez came in that game that sent him to the final and shoved it up our rears. That kid's dirty. So you'll have trouble replacing these two guys, but the talent's there. Overall, what do I think about these rankings? I think D1 baseball has the best rankings in the country, in my opinion. They have philosophical breakdowns. All the research I did backs up where they have these guys. There may be a few tweaks here and there I would make, but for the most part, yeah, these rankings are good. And there's always that one team that comes from like unranked to the top 10 really quick. And we're going to see that, but it's hard to predict those things, especially with the transfer portal like it is. You can't account for the cohesion and the camaraderie that the teams are going to play with. And there's going to be a team that plays really and gels really well together and complements each other greatly, and they make a rise. So I can't wait for college baseball. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, subscribe. On the way to 1,000. One day I hope to make some money off this stuff, and I can quit my regular job and I can go, dude, I'll bring you guys incredible content. I'll buy a camera. I'll go to these stadiums and film every stadium in America if that's what you guys want. Regardless, hope you guys have a great week. I will, you know what? I'm going to make a promise to you. Before the end of the week, I'm going to post my top 25. And I'll just give you a little update. It's probably going to be pretty similar to this. Anyway, hope you guys do enjoy. Have a great week. Let's get after it. Be productive. And yeah, go Gators as always.